Hello, folks. Welcome back to The Slice. I'm in the middle of what you might call the post-Australian Open hangover, where you're just kind of missing tennis and you're stewing on all the action that happened in those 2 weeks and the craziness of that final and just the things leading up to it. And there's no tennis really happening right now, but we do have a couple tournaments on the way. But right now, there's a time for reflection. And in this episode of the show, I'm going to revisit the GOAT debate with you all and talk about, did Novak Djokovic make a step closer to being considered the GOAT? Did he pass Rafael Nadal? Is he going to catch Roger Federer? Those are just a couple of the topics we're going to cover in this very non-controversial video about the greatest of all time status for a tennis player. So let's get into it and have a bit of non-controversial fun.
Welcome to the Slice.
Welcome to the Slice.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I have a couple housekeeping items to get over. Before we jump into the GOAT debate, on February 8th, so this coming Friday, the first episode of The Slice Front Row is going to be airing. That is the new show that's over on patreon.com, where you can watch it for only $4 a month. You're going to get access to this extra content I'm putting out, where we're going to go much deeper. And I just like to say the idea behind this is that if I'm not going to stop doing any of these videos, but I'm going to do this extra show. And if you guys can support me, band together, and watch the show and enjoy it with me, we're going to be able to do so much more as a Slice. And you'll get front row access to that show, but also to the Slice, independent journalism, YouTube commentary growing and taking over, the tennis channel and these other shows. Because in my opinion, they're just boring. And I want us all to get closer to the action and be the number one people talking about tennis. Does that sound good to you? It sounds good to me. So that's what the Slice Front Row is doing, and that's happening Friday. That's our first show. I'll be giving this shirt away. It's a Slice retro tee, ringer tee. I'm giving it away to one of the lucky fans who has supporting us, but I'm also going to make the first episode completely free. So anyone can watch it, just so you can see what's going to go down, what it's going to be like, and then you can choose whether you want to support us for $4 a month to watch all the shows coming after that. But to win this shirt, you got to be signed up for $4 a month or more. I would just like to give a personal shout out to Gold Wolf, who, after I moved the Djokovic poster behind me, still there. He just won the Australian Open. He deserves a bit of a cred. He made good on his word to send me money to get a Uniqlo outfit. So I've ordered a Uniqlo kit. I'll be wearing it in one of the videos soon once it comes. But I'd like to thank him. He also gave a significant donation as well monthly to support the Slice. There's another guy named Michael McLeod who's also giving quite a significant donation per month on Patreon to help us grow this thing. And it takes money to make this better. And some of these people are going above and beyond to support us. So I thank you guys. And I thank anyone who can support us for the $4 a month to watch the Slice Front Row show and go up together in this. So I thank you guys, and that's happening February 8th. Let me know what you guys want to talk about in that show in the comments below. Pick the top 3 topics that you think I should cover from the past 2 weeks from the Australian Open, and we'll get into that in depth on the show. So if you see any of the people's suggestions, like them, and I'll pick the top 3, and we'll get into it. Ask questions. I'll shout your name out on the video. And of course, I'll give away the Slice ringer tee to one lucky fan. So the GOAT debate, which means the greatest of all time. Who's the greatest of all time? That debate has been going on for a while now as the big 3 have been dominating. Traditionally, when Roger Federer passed Pete Sampras at 14 Grand Slams, people said he is the greatest of all time, and he's obviously grown that now to 20. But Rafael Nadal's been right there. Djokovic is now past Pete Sampras, and he's joined that debate now as well. So we have a legit debate. I'm calling it a debate because there's a lot of valid opinions in here. And I'll get into mine and what that is, but I'll also get into the different perspectives people take if you're a Federer fan, Nadal fan, or a Djokovic fan, as Gold Wolf would say. But my perspective is Federer is still the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time for a number of reasons, but mainly from stats. He's won 20 Grand Slams. The next closest person is Nadal at 17. He's been at number 1 in the world for 310 weeks, which is much higher than anyone else. And he's won 99 titles on tour. To me, those stats show that he is the most dominant player of all time in tennis. And he's won more, and he's played at a higher level than anyone else ever. That's what I think. So Federer, for me, is still the GOAT. The question in this video, though, is as Djokovic has won his 15th Grand Slam, does that put him higher in the debate than Nadal, for example? Some people have been saying that. For me, right now, it's no. Nadal's still at 17 Grand Slams. Djokovic is at 15. Nadal has been the biggest pain in Federer's butt ever. I mean, Djokovic still has a winning record slightly against Djokovic, but I would attribute a lot of that to Federer being older and Djokovic hitting his prime when Federer's definitely leaving his prime. But that's debatable. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. But I still put Nadal ahead of Djokovic, mainly because he has 17 Grand Slams, and that's what we go off. But it is a very valid opinion to have Djokovic now creeping right up very close to Nadal. If not, you could put him above there in the debate as maybe in second place for the GOAT. Because Djokovic has now been at number one for 236 weeks, and Nadal was only ever there for 196 weeks total. Djokovic is only 7 titles behind Nadal in the grand scheme of things, and that's more spread over different tournaments or different surfaces, I should say. And he's only 2 behind Nadal now in Grand Slams. See, Djokovic is closer to Nadal than Nadal is to Federer in the debate. That's my opinion, or at least in the stats. It definitely goes for Grand Slam totals. Federer's at 20, Nadal's 3 behind him, but Djokovic is only 2 behind Nadal. And then the titles total, Federer's at 99, which is 19 ahead of Nadal. And then Djokovic is only 7 behind Federer's, or Djokovic is only 7 behind Nadal's 80. So Djokovic has become very close to Nadal in this debate, in my opinion. And there's another reason is that most of Nadal's success has obviously been on clay. Most of his tournaments have been won on clay. Most of Nadal's majors have obviously been won on clay, 11 out of his 17. So that's a very interesting thing that I've kind of been thinking about a lot lately. Djokovic is getting up there, and out of the big three, Djokovic has the most amount of gas left in the tank as far as damage he could do into the future. I'm going to address that because I don't think it's as wide open as people think. But Djokovic has gotten very close to Nadal. What do you guys think about that? Like I said, I think time at number one where Djokovic has got Nadal is a big deal because he's dominated the tour while Nadal has been playing. While Nadal and Federer have both been playing and winning, Djokovic has been number one for, like I said, 236 weeks while Nadal has been there the entire time. So Federer, one argument, there's obviously the weak era theory that people criticize Federer for all the time. They're like, he won all his first majors when Federer or Djokovic and Nadal weren't doing anything. Hewitt, Nalbandian, and all these guys, they all sucked. Murat Safin, all these guys, Andy Roddick, they definitely didn't suck. It's a kind of a valid point, but it's definitely not as valid as a lot of people say. I would say it's to say that these guys weren't easy to beat is so ridiculous. Like, these guys are world-class tennis players who were number ones in the world at their time, getting to the final. It's not like it's hard to lose to those guys, and people act like Federer had a cakewalk for his first 8 majors, which is ridiculous. But while Djokovic has been number one, Federer and Nadal, the two other, probably the top 2 greatest players of all time, have been playing, and Djokovic has been able to rise above them and be number one for 236 weeks. That is a big deal, I think, in the discussion between who's greater, Djokovic or Nadal. I know we're getting controversial here. You guys are probably steaming. I can actually feel the heat radiating out of the camera. It's amazing. But also titles coming up. Djokovic is creeping up to Nadal in amount of titles won, and he's only 7 behind him now. So we'll see where that goes in the next couple years. I think that a very influential time is coming up here in the tennis season, in this GOAT debate. The clay season, the clay swing, I think is going to be very pivotal in if Djokovic is going to pass Nadal. Because if Nadal can clean up again and win pretty much all the titles in the clay swing, or win at least 2-3 of the Masters and win the French Open, he takes another big step ahead of Djokovic in my book and gets very close to Federer, gets closer to Federer. But if Djokovic were to somehow win most of the clay tournaments and he was playing Nadal in these tournaments and beating him, and then he beat Nadal at the French Open, which would be crazy, and I think they'd play in the final because they'd definitely be number 1 and 2 in the world at that point. That would be altering. I think you'd have to put Djokovic ahead of Nadal at that point because it would be like 17 to 16 Grand Slams, which is basically the same. And then Djokovic has won his second French Open. So a very crucial time coming up here, I think, for the GOAT debate between Djokovic and Nadal at least. Federer, though, has said that he will dabble with some clay tournaments this year. I'm pretty sure that I'm reading that right, is that Federer, well, I guess we'll have to see because he can change his mind at any point. He kind of runs his own show. But if he plays any clay tournaments, I don't really expect him to win the French Open for sure, but he could do damage at any of these clay tournaments because he's Roger Federer, and he's, in my opinion, easily the most skilled tennis player to ever hold a racket. So it's not like he's a chump on clay. Everyone forgets that he's made the final of the French Open 5 times. Getting to the final is only 1 win away from the freaking winning it. And I know he had to come up against the greatest clay court player of all time every single time in those finals, but except for one where he won. But losing 4 times to Rafael Nadal in the French Open final means that you're basically the second best tennis clay court player at that time on tour. So he's no chump on there, and his body's looking pretty good. He didn't have any signs of weakness, I didn't think, in the Australian Open. So he's looking pretty good. So, but I think this clay swing is mostly important for Djokovic and Nadal in their standing in the GOAT debate. What do you guys think about that? I think that the clay swing is very important. The last thing is, can Djokovic catch and pass Federer in the amount of Grand Slams total, which is basically the number one marker of your status as the GOAT? I don't think he will. I'm going to go on record right now and say I don't think he will. Can he? I think he can. Do I think he will? I don't think so. My main reason for thinking of that is Djokovic is now, 31? And so he's still in his prime. He's definitely in his prime. We saw what he did to Nadal in the final of the French Open or the Australian Open. He's in his prime still, moving perfectly. But like anything, he's getting older, and he's going to be leaving his prime in the next 3 years. And the next 3 years will be when he has the time to win he can win 5 majors or more and pass Federer. If Federer doesn't win any, like he could win Wimbledon this year. You never know. So Djokovic is moving out of his prime. And for the last few years, he hasn't had much the big three haven't had much competition from the next gen because they're just basically learning how to walk in tennis terms, especially in the Grand Slams. They haven't been able to do anything. In this tournament, we saw Tsitsipas beat Federer. We saw Pouille do really well. We saw different young guns kind of take a little bit of a step in the right direction. We saw TFO make it to the semifinals and Pouille. So in these next couple of years, as Djokovic moves out of his prime, the next geners are going to be moving into their prime. Everyone's getting older, but Djokovic is leaving his prime, and the next geners are getting into theirs. So they will cause the biggest problem for Djokovic when it comes to winning more majors. For the last couple of years, it's like Djokovic, the only person he's going to get beaten by if he's not injured is Federer or Nadal. But that's going to change. The next geners like Khachanov, Shapovalov, Tsitsipas, Medvedev, TFO, all these guys. I'm probably Edmund, Pouille. I'm missing like Dimitrov. I don't know. Well, what do you think about Dimitrov? But these guys will have the biggest impact on Djokovic winning majors, and I think they'll stop him, and he won't be able to win majors as easily as everybody thinks he will. Right now, it's like the only people that can stop him would be Nadal and maybe Federer, but that's going to change. I think the next gen is going to be a much bigger deal in like 2 years or maybe later this year. So that's going to be the biggest thing. If none of them get good enough to be consistent, then Djokovic could honestly win a ton more and pass Federer, but I don't think he will because of the next geners. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you will anyways. But that's my update on the GOAT debate. For me right now, it's still Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. But Djokovic has gotten much closer to Nadal now. And the clay swing coming up next is very important for this. So that's the slice on the GOAT debate. Let me know what you think of course, and give suggestions for what you think I should talk about on the Slice Front Row. First episode coming out Friday. It'll be filming Thursday, and I'm going to put lots of stuff out on Instagram and YouTube, especially about that, because I want you guys to be involved in the show. That's what's going to make the Slice Front Row great. Don't have enough people signed up right now. That's why I'm making it free so you can see what it's about, and I'm giving this shirt away to a lucky person who has signed up to support us. But I thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about my status on the GOAT debate. But as always, I love you guys, and stay tuned for more videos from The Slice. Thanks for watching, folks. If you want to become a better tennis player, click here to subscribe to The Slice. Click the link in the bio to sign up for The Slice Tennis Front Row show on Patreon. That'll make you a much better tennis fan. And watch this latest video here just to have more fun in your life. Thank you.